Okay, so here's Max. I'm going to go to Max script, open. Okay, from Synthesize, that's the file I exported out earlier. And you can hit Control E or go to Tools, Evaluate All. Now before we do that real quick, in theory it's supposed to set it up here in centimeters, but I'm just going to double check, go to Customize, Unit Setup. We could do meters or centimeters. Here, centimeters, okay? So I like to make sure everything is centimeters. Inside centimeters and centimeters. Okay, click OK. And go to Tools, Evaluate All, and it should recreate that scene. Okay. Now I can open up or import the model that I created earlier, or the Max file that you have. Generally, I like to collapse or convert my model into one piece instead of have all these modifiers, because it's going to slow down my scene. So I'm going to bring in my OBJ, so import. Okay. So Guang model object. Okay. Click on import. Generally, if you do Maya here, it tends to give you a more consistent shape. Okay, it says model here. Okay, I'm just going to skip or rename all. Okay, so this is our scene here. All right, I'm going to reposition this. Okay, so earlier, because in Synthesize I didn't do the camera properly, it's not in place. When I bring in my model here, it's in different pieces. I can either group or I'm going to create a selection set. So this is going to be my structures. Just going to type it in there. So later on, if I need to select it again, I just go into here and say structure, and it will select all the models that I have. So I'm going to roughly align this. And like I said, I'm not going to make it super accurate. It's just a process to show you. Okay. Sometimes this can be hard to see, so I'm going to select this point here, and I can go to Axis Tripod box and make it a little bit larger here so I can see it better in my viewport here. Okay. Okay. And I can open up my footage or turn it on. So I'm going to click on this viewport, and the hotkey is Alt B, or you can also go into here somewhere. Let's see. I use the hotkey so much that I forgot where you find it, but I think it's a background something. But Alt B. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Use files, click OK. Okay. I can turn this off, adaptive degradation. What that does is if you play it, it doesn't turn into boxes. It tries to save your GPU, but sometimes it can be hard to see, so I'm going to turn it off. Now for those of you who the background isn't updating, remember to go to Customize, Preferences, go to Viewports, Update Background while playing. Okay, click OK. Now if we press Shift Q here, it's going to render, but we don't see the background, right? So we can click on number 8 and load up our background here so it shows in the render. Okay, so I'm going to hit Maps, Bitmap, and and choose our footage. Make sure you click on sequence, click open. Okay, and when we render, it's going to default as a spherical map in the background. So I'm going to click or press M for my material editor here, and then drag my background into here. Click instance, okay, and double click and change it to screen and close this here. So now it shows as the footage here. Okay, now I'm going to do really basic lighting. Okay, so I'm going to change it to my Arnold renderer. F10. I'm going to change it to active shade here so it updates in real time, and change it to Arnold. Okay. Under custom here, HDTV, I'm going to go to a smaller setting here. Okay, go to my lights. So with this, I'm going to use 2 lights. Okay, I'm going to this is going to be my distance light, responsible for my shadows. Okay, distance, and I'm going to right click on exposure here, or zero it out, right click. Okay, and I'm going to shift, okay, copy, not instance, and I'm going to change this one to a quad. So I have a distance light and a distance and a sky dome light. Okay, so now if I render this here, okay, I get more realistic lighting here with global illumination, bounce lighting. Now this plane here is by default from SynthEyes. I want to turn this into a matte shadow, so it only catches shadows. Okay, so I'm going to press M. Okay, and I'm going to create a, under the Arnold material here, okay, I'm going to create a matte material. Double click here, and under the matte material, I'm going to, under the color box here, I'm going to choose a it's under surface again, shadow matte. Okay, so this material makes it invisible, and this material says capture the shadows. Okay, so I'm going to select my ground here and right click, assign material to selection, so you see that it should only catch my shadows here. Okay, right now my plane is probably a little bit smaller, so I'm going to increase my plane here. Okay, I think my model is sitting underneath the ground here, so I'm going to have to bring it up. So I'm going to select my models again. Now you notice every time I click on a different viewport, a different window renders, right? So in my render panel here, F10, I'm going to select my camera here and lock my camera so it doesn't render other places. So click on lock here. And another thing I like to do is select my camera and lock it so I don't accidentally move it. Click on camera here, select camera, and just make sure I go to my hierarchy panel here. Okay, click on link info and lock my camera so I don't accidentally move it. Okay. let's go back to my plane here. Make it larger. Okay, so my shadows are a bit sharp here. Okay. Select my Arnold light here, my distance, and my angle here. So the bigger this number is, the softer the shadow becomes. Okay, and I want to get my shadow so it matches this background here. I can go into this viewport here and click on Shift G. Shift G turns off my model so I can compare the background and see what type of shadows I get here. Hit Shift G again. Okay, so I need my shadows to be a lot softer than this. Okay, I'm going to move my models more so it's more aligned with this here. Okay, my model's a little bit too big here. So in Cintize I should have made my scene a little bit bigger. Okay, so in here I'm just going to select my camera, and I'm just going to scale my scene and my markers. What we can do is I'm going to open up a script here. Okay, new script. And these markers are named tracker something, right? So I'm going to write a script called select $* tracker. Okay, and then another star here. And if I run the script, it's going to select anything that has the word tracker in its name, right? So evaluate all. So I have all my trackers selected. See? And then I'm going to hit shift with my camera selected. Okay. And I'm going to group. Okay, so it's going to be called my camera set. And now I can scale this camera, right? So it's about the same or closer to the size of my structure. And I make sure that my markers on my ground level are the same. So I press F here to get my front view, and then press W and move it the bottom markers so it's about ground level. Okay, I think I overscaled it a little bit because these are a little bit bigger than my structure. So scale right here, just a little bit back, just not that much. Okay, but okay, so you get the picture. We can select all our markers and our cameras, group it, scale it. Okay, and if I go back into my camera view here, and then now select my structure, it should be more within the size. Okay, so I'm trying not to scale my model, because in theory that should be more in line with the real world scale. So Okay, and you would align your models here. Okay. Okay. Now, what we can also do is, if this is not being accurate, I can model or create my planes based off of these points here, and then give that a matte shadow. So I would probably, what I can do now is go under my mesh here. Okay. Probably get rid of this guy and this guy here, and create my own here. So we can always say create a plane here. Just going to create a plane here, hit Shift A to align it to this point here, and then rotate it. Right. Okay, F3 to get my wireframe here. Okay, with this plane being selected, I'm gonna go to my local. Okay, and then view, change to my local too, so I can move it up and down easily like this. See, so it moves in local space. Okay. Okay, right click, convert to editable poly here. Okay, move my vertex. Again, in my vertex subobject, I'm going to change it to local here again. Okay, or actually to parent here. So if I change it to parent, I can move the vertex down here, so it moves along its axis. Okay. Okay. Go to my edge here. Shift. Okay. So I hit Shift, and if I move it, it creates these edges. Okay. And let's see here. Here, I will probably create a loop. Okay. Again, select edge and hit Shift, and this works all because I'm in the parent space of the object. Okay. Okay, and so on and so forth, but you get the idea. Okay, it should work. Control L here to turn off the shade lighting. Okay, and then you do the other one. Okay, so, and I would also give this pillar the matte shadow material, so I can go in here, select my pillar here, right click, assign to selection. Okay, turn it off. If I render this, let's see what do I get. So you see that it's catching the shadows here. Probably not as accurate as I want to be here. Okay, so our shadows are a bit grainy here. Um, and we can change that. Oh, I didn't model it accurately here. I should have extruded out here. Oh, it should have been lowered. So let me fix that here. Okay, I should have created more points down here to match the pillar. Uh, right now I have no reference point to move that. I'm going to pause it here and try to match it as best as possible. Okay, close enough. So a trick that we can do is you select a point here and you hit Shift A, okay, and gives you the line tool, and you would click on the tracker here and it will snap to that point, so you get an accurate more shadow here. Okay, so again I'm going to select the vertex, Shift A, and select that tracker. Oops, wrong one. Yeah, okay, and it will snap into position. So the more of these points that you get, it's a lot easier to create the geometry. Okay, I should have had one right here, one point right here, that way I can snap and get an accurate location for this right here. But okay, I'm going to move on and texture this. Okay, give it some turbo smooth here, and then set it up for render and into Nuke.